What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to, I say welcome. I need to vent. I need to vent. There's been so much said in the light of yesterday about where the club's at, about where we're at, about the players, about the manager, about everything. And it just feels obviously so crap right now. And I was just reflecting and just really deep in this thing, you know, because I remember doing a video a couple of months ago. And I think the title of that video was "Calm Down." Let's just calm down. And I want to say exactly the same thing, but the truth is that I can't. The truth is that, you know, I never jump to conclusions. I always wait to see things unfold. And my thing isn't always about be right, be first, be I told you so. I couldn't give a crap about those things. I'll take my time and analyze what's going on, and then make conclusions afterwards, you know, as new things happens, as more evidence mounts, as time passes. And to be honest, there's so much things that I've seen, that I've been seeing, but they're basically solidified. Basically, look, in terms of losing against Man City last night, that's neither here nor there. Man City are way better than us. Man City are the champions of the world. They're the best team in the world. And, you know, we were expected to lose that game. My thing is the things that are bigger than that game, that one game last night. Things that are bigger than Man City are just better than us, and look at the blue side of Manchester, how far they are from us. That's a whole different video, yeah? Things that, you know, me and Big Steve spoke about when some people were like, oh, why are you letting him come on here and say that? And da-da-da-da-da. It's all home truths. So wake up and smell the coffee. If you don't like that, then that's just, you know, you're choosing to just not see where the club is. But that's a different video. I don't care about the gap between Man United and Man City right now, because it's bigger than that. That's one thing that we already know. That's one thing we already know. I need to talk about the manager, the players. There's been a lot said about, you know, the Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville situation when they were arguing and going back and forth. I think that we don't have to live in a world, right, where the situation at Man United, two things are mutually exclusive. They can both coexist. The instability of the club, right, and the fact that the Glazers have ruined the club and there is no structure, there is no direction, there is no purpose. Those things are true. And the fact that every manager, every player, every coach, every member of staff comes to this football club and literally dies, literally becomes a graveyard for, you know, anybody who tries to come in and do different. It's been the same ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left. There needs to be an inquest into that, or not even an inquest. We know the reason why that is, because of the structure at the football club. That's one thing, and that is absolutely true. You know, when people say another manager will come in, you know, we'll sign other players, and they'll turn out just as bad as this. Nothing will change until the ultimate ownership at the top changes. And I 100% agree with that. On a big scale, nothing will change. However, what I think it is important to talk about is the fact that Erik ten Hag needs to be held accountable for the things that he is in control of, the things that are his decisions, the things that are his principles, the things that are his choices. That is what we can hold him accountable for. That doesn't mean that Erik ten Hag must be sacked now. Of course it doesn't. It doesn't mean that any fan who is questioning that side of this coin is a bad fan and you don't want Ten Hag to be here and Ten Hag out. It doesn't mean that. Some fans may want Ten Hag to leave. Some fans may think that Erik ten Hag's not going to be the guy long term. And, you know, many other fans, which I'm in this camp, think that he can turn this around. However, the criticism of the things that are under his belt that he has had a massive input on need to be voiced. Players, some of our favourite players, or were our favourite players, players that we like, players that we've all gassed up, me included. I'm not doing this whole thing because, you know, we get to meet the players sometimes, it's a dream come true and stuff. I'm not going to shy away from what I'm actually seeing because of that privilege. No way. I'm going to stay true to what the United View is and who I am as a fan and who I am as a person. I can still be respectful to people that I see and I say no. I'm not going to say no. I'm not friends with all the players, but I can still be respectful, but have a footballing opinion as a fan. The same way journalists and Other people are in and around Man United and write what they write, but they're in the press conference the next day. That's their job. It is a bit different because I'm a fan, so I'm going to feel things differently. We're fans, we're going to feel things differently. But absolutely, I needed to make sure I have share my 100% opinion on what's going on, uncensored. Do you know what I mean? And the reason why it's important to do that is because we have to not live under a rock, regardless of, and I'm talking about me as a content creator, but as a fan foremost. I don't care about, privileges that we get and stuff like that. We still have to speak our mind, still be respectful. So with that being said, what I'm seeing is Erik ten Hag's decisions, they're not making sense. They're not. If you look at the signings that he's brought in as well, how good have they been? We talk about like players who have bad attitude who you need to get rid of, but what about the players that Erik ten Hag has actually brought in that haven't made us any better? They're suffering as well. We blame the Glazers for a lot of things, and rightly so. Rightly so. But Erik ten Hag pushed for Anthony. Erik ten Hag, wanted Malacia, he wanted Martinez, he wanted Mason Mount. What's happened to these players? He's brought Mason Mount in, who I'm a fan of, by the way, and I want to see him playing more. I think there's a player in there. But you're not seeing the plan. You're not seeing it implicated. You're not seeing him even use Mason Mount. What we're seeing as well is Ten Hag constantly making changes at half-time because he's suggesting that he doesn't have a clue. He's undoing the very plan that he worked on to play a specific fixture. That's on Erik ten Hag. It's not Joel Glazer who made that happen, is it? That's Erik ten Hag's coaching decisions on 9 to 5 on the training pitch in the lead up to a game. And the way he's doubling down on things, he's sounding strange in some of the things he's saying. Saying that, he admitted he made a mistake, basically, by bringing on Mason Mount at halftime. He shouldn't have done that. But then you're also admitting you made another mistake because you started with Amrabat and then you've taken him off at halftime. So that wasn't the right start in midfield. You got to look at players like Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. Now, I have to be deadly honest. Bruno's not a good captain. He's not a good captain. He hasn't been a good captain since he's got the armband. And if we're being honest, if I'm being honest and true to myself, this is me just laying it all bare, guys. This is me just saying how I feel, completely unfiltered, uncensored. If I'm being honest, Bruno is a good player. I still think he's a good player, absolutely. But the way he's behaving and the way he's acting, that can't have a good impact on the squad. I don't care how positive it is when I see the players in front of house. I don't care how good Ten Hag says the dressing room is. When you've decided to take on Jadon Sancho, which I backed, by the way, when you've decided to, move on Cristiano Ronaldo, which I backed, by the way, and make these big decisions and put people in the driving seat, right? And he responds how he responds in terms of Bruno Fernandes on the pitch. Some of his on-pitch shenanigans have been shocking. Moaning at people, arms up, taking too long to let the free kick be taken when we're losing. It's our time. Like, you're looking at that as a player, and that's uninspiring. That's uninspiring. I think there's people in the dressing room who will probably look at that and gone, this guy's a wally. What's he doing? Always moaning. And I've tried so long to back that side of Bruno, but there's no hiding away from it that when the chips are down, that's not conducive to helping our environment change. It's not. It's not. This is a me waking up and smell the coffee as well, by the way, guys. I'm never afraid to basically do what I just said. Wake up and smell the coffee and say, call out the things that are definitely wrong. That is an issue. However, to undo that issue, and this is a bigger damning indictment on Man United, who on earth would you give the captaincy to? KG asked me that yesterday as well. And I just looked at him with a blank expression. Because again, we've got no leaders in the whole squad. You're not going to give it to Dallo, inconsistent. You're not going to give it to Wan-Bissaka, doesn't speak. You're not going to give it to Varane, injured all the time. You're not going to give it to Martinez, unstable and quite erratic. You're not going to give it to Luke Shaw, injury problems. You're not going to give it to Casemiro, doesn't even speak English. You're not going to give it to Mason Mount, just got here. You're not going to give it to Rashford, stinking the joint out. You're not going to give it to Højlund, a 19-year-old kid. You're not going to give it to Anthony, trash, stinking the joint out, don't speak English. That's 10 players I've just named there. So you're not going to give it to Amrabat, Loney, You're not going to give it to Christian Eriksen. These are players. These are all players that you're looking at, and they're not going to lead the team. You've taken off Harry Maguire, which we all said is the right decision. Which actually, since Maguire's come off the captaincy, he looks a lot better. Ironically, like, so there's nobody else to have it. Onana's just got there. He's eccentric and erratic. He's trying to find his feet. You're not going to give it to him. So the fact that at Man United there isn't even another proper candidate to have the captaincy. But I see what Roy Keane is saying, and I have kind of held back of trying to just give chances. But the way he's acting during the games, forget the quality that he's showing or lack of, the way he's acting as a captain, that's not helping it. When he shoots wide or he makes a mistake, he just turns round to other people and starts doing this. If I'm a player, I'm thinking, what? Mate, you just put the ball out for a throw. You just put the ball out for a goal kick. You just underhit a corner and now we've got to run back towards our own goal on a counter-attack because you gave it away. What's your arms doing up here? Now, he does put it in. He does run around. I'm not saying he doesn't try it. I'm not saying Bruno doesn't care. I'm not saying that, I didn't back the decision for him to be captain because I did. But I'm calling it out since he's become captain. These are the things that I'm seeing. Marcus Rashford. Listen, Eric Ten Hag's put a lot of faith into him. He said in the very last press conference, I'm going to pick him every game. Well, if you make that bed, Eric, you're going to have to lie in it because Marcus is not helping you. He looks disinterested. His body language is awful. His execution right now is awful. And I get the fact that you need to keep playing him or you wanted to try and keep playing him, but enough is enough or you're going to die on that sword. I think as well, and again, I want to speak for myself. I don't want to speak for the whole fan base. I hate doing that. So I'm just going to speak for me. I've been on such a roller coaster where you gas players up. Do you know what I mean? I've done it loads. And that is because I'm emotionally invested. That is because me as a person in the moment, I want to feel the moment. I want some positivity. I want to ride the wave. But there becomes this situation where you have to take a step back and you say, the players that we've signed on Ten Hag's watch, average. Let's be really, really, really honest. Average. Sofian Amrabat, I gassed him up, saw him at the World Cup. Again, he was in a different system. Showed passion and fight for Morocco. Well, amazing World Cup he had. But let's be honest. Okay, it's taken time for him to get going and he's better than what we're going to see. I don't necessarily agree that he had to come off yesterday. But let's just be honest. He's average at best. He's okay. I'm just being honest. Malacia, young kid, cool. Oh, he's just okay. Anthony, huge outlay. Who's vetoed that? Well, that's the problem. And that's where it does come from top management and at the top of the club. Nobody has stepped in and said, this guy's not good. Don't buy him. And nobody stepped in and said, we can't spend 80 million on this guy. This is Panic City. This is Panic Station. Fleeced. Martinez. Now, I know we've been raving about him last year and he's been injured this year. So that needs to be taken into account. I do think he's a good player. But the pedestal we've put him on is way too high. Way too high. Way too high. He's a good player when other good players play. And I know we haven't had our starting team and that does matter. So I'm not going to go in too much on Lissandra, but I do think we've put him on too high a pedestal. Casemiro. You can say he hasn't become a bad player overnight, but essentially, let's be honest, he's on massive wages. He was on a 5-year deal. He's probably got 4 years left. And there's no longevity in that. And he's looking a shadow of himself. He's regressing in front of our very eyes. And we're yet to see him come back from injury and do well. Christian Eriksen was a freebie. Fair enough. He's a stopgap, but he's got a bit of quality. But again, doesn't light it up. Who else is there? Mason Mount, we buy for 65 million pounds. Ten Hag's not even using him. What's gone on there? That's on you. We were told that that's his primary target. When Chelsea were umming and ahhing about the money, Ten Hag wanted to push. Ten Hag wanted it. And now look, he's hardly even using him and he looks lost. Mason Mount's going through a tough time. He doesn't know whether he's coming or going. The squad's unsettled. How can he get any consistency? He's in and out of the team. Højlund, young kid. Not clinical enough right now, but you can see that there's something there. I don't mind that. I don't mind Højlund at all. I think he's got a lot of potential that, we need to get behind and we need to work behind. But essentially, it's a lot of pressure on a young kid. We needed him to come in and do it all now. Who else has he signed that I've missed? Oh, Nana. Fair enough. He's starting to get better. So, you know, there's a lot of signings there that I've just said that are bang average, and a few that, if we sort our shit out, can actually be really good players for us. But they have been uninspiring. You know, the lack of style of play. I know I saw the quotes of Ten Hag saying that we're not going to play like the Ajax way. That was because I had those players. Well, that's what we got you for. We got you to imprint that style of football. We got you to change the way that we play. Players aren't taking on instructions. They look disjointed. We look worse than we did before. And there's no difference to previous managers. Now, that is a systemic, deep-rooted problem that is way higher than Ten Hag. I absolutely do agree with that. If Man United was to sack Ten Hag today and, you know, get our pants pulled down by flipping Brighton because you try and get De Zerbi, so they'll charge you all kind of a ridiculous fee to get him out of there, like they did to Chelsea for Graham Potter. And, you know, look how De Zerbi criticises players. He don't give a shit. He probably wouldn't last 5-10 minutes at Man United. But at the same time, this collateral damage, this you know, ripping up of the situation needs to happen, and it needs to hurt. It will hurt. But Ten Hag needs to work out what he wants to do and which direction he wants to go. And he needs to stop giving players immunity. He needs to stop doing it because they're going to get him sacked. They will. So, listen, it's so poor at the moment, and you've got to call out what you're seeing. You do. There isn't just one scapegoat. It's not Jadon Sancho's fault. It's not Harry Maguire's fault. It's not. It's not these scapegoat players. You know, it's not just Anthony's fault. It is collective from the top to the bottom, from the lack of leadership at the football club to who's going to own it, to Sir Jim Ratcliffe going to come in and probably do some bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Even if that might not even work. Right through to Eric Ten Hag making strange decisions, in-game management poor, substitutions poor, starting 11s poor, tactics poor. That's the truth. Can he turn it around? I really do hope so. And I still do believe that. But he has to start showing more with the cards that he's got. With some of the cards that he decided to get. Not all of it is inherited. He's bought about, 8 players now? Is it? Something like that? That's on Eric. He's got to find a way to get more out of these players. If that means going back to basics, then do it. If that means playing some kids for a few games or most of the games, then do it. Stop hanging your hat on these same players. Drop Bruno. Don't be scared to do it. Drop Rashford. Don't be scared to do it. Do you know what I mean? Make big decisions. Don't show any favourites, because that is what is hurting us. On top of that, like I said, we do have players who just aren't good enough as well. On top of that, we do have that. So it is a mess from top to bottom. I thought it was important to just have a little reflection with you guys and just air some stuff, man, because it's a mess. You know, we've got Newcastle coming up next. The fact that they've got so many injuries and so many games, Eddie Howe will probably change it up a little bit. That might help us a little bit, but we'll probably still lose, you know? I don't know how this is going to get better. I really don't. I don't see things improving. I really don't. I see this season just petering out. Forget getting through Champions League qualification. Not with the way we're playing. Not with this. That's not going to happen. Obviously, aren't going to win a trophy. And then forget top 4/5, whatever it is. Forget it. Forget it. So it's very damning. But until big things change at this football club, this is what we are. A broken, rotten institution of a football club. And it's so sad. Our greatest ever player, our greatest ever icon at the football club just passed away in Sir Bobby. And the disparity to the Manchester United that he helped us create to where the club is now and the direction that it's going to go in over the next 5 to 10 years is just disgusting. It really, really is. It really, really is. Anyway, take care, guys, and I'll see you on another video again soon. Take care. Peace.